The massive Voraxian warship, Eternal Dominance, hung like a predatory shark against the backdrop of stars, its obsidian hull absorbing and reflecting light in ways that made it appear almost invisible to conventional sensors. Captain Krulax stood on the command deck, his four-fingered hands clasped behind his back, mandibles clicking with a rhythm that spoke of centuries of uncontested conquest. Earth was just another conquest, just another primitive world waiting to be subdued. Krulax reviewed the planetary intelligence reports one final time. The data was familiar, almost boring in its predictability. A young species, still confined to a single planetary system, with rudimentary space exploration capabilities. Their communication networks were fragmented, their global political structures in constant conflict. The Voraxian Empire had consumed civilizations far more advanced with less effort. The holographic display flickered, showing multiple data streams, population centers, communication infrastructure, military installations, each marked with precise targeting coordinates, each awaiting the systematic erasure that had become the Voraxian trademark of galactic domination. Initiate primary bombardment sequence, Krulax commanded, his voice a low resonant growl that vibrated through the ship's neural-linked communication systems. Thousands of kilometers below, in a nondescript garage in Silicon Valley, Jake Rodriguez wasn't thinking about galactic invasions. He was wrestling with a network problem that had been driving him crazy for weeks. A strange signal had been dancing around the edges of his monitoring systems, something that didn't quite fit any known communication protocol. His fingers moved across multiple keyboards, screens reflecting in his determined eyes. 3 empty coffee cups told the story of a long night of work. His team, a collection of network engineers, cryptographers, and one brilliant retired NSA analyst, were connected through a secure, custom-built communication platform. "Something's not right," Jake muttered, zooming into a particularly complex data pattern. The first indications of the Voraxian approach were subtle. Satellite communications began to experience microscopic disruptions. Weather monitoring systems picked up unusual energy signatures at the edge of the solar system. Most would have missed these hints, but not Jake's team. Sarah Chin, the team's lead cryptographer, was the first to realize the magnitude of what they were seeing. "Jake," her voice crackled through the secure connection. "These aren't random interference patterns. This looks like a pre-invasion communication network." Before Jake could respond, the first graviton weapons fired. The sky erupted in silent, devastating brilliance. Satellite networks disintegrated. Communication towers across multiple continents went dark. To any other species, this would have been the moment of total surrender. But humans weren't any other species. Jake's fingers were already moving, rerouting communication channels, activating backup networks that most government agencies didn't even know existed. Amateur radio operators, university research teams, and a global network of technology enthusiasts began to mobilize with a speed and coordination that would have shocked any outside observer. In that moment, as the first wave of alien destruction crashed against Earth's technological infrastructure, something extraordinary began to take shape. It wasn't a military response. It wasn't a political maneuver. It was pure, unadulterated human innovation. Krulax would soon learn that Earth was not a planet to be conquered. It was a crucible of potential waiting to be awakened. The first Voraxian strike was designed to be a surgical decimation of human infrastructure. Graviton weapons punched through communication satellites with surgical precision, transforming high-tech networks into clouds of metallic debris. Major cities braced for impact, their emergency systems flickering to life with a determination that would have surprised the invading forces. In the Global Defense Command Center beneath Cheyenne Mountain, Colonel Maria Rodriguez watched the initial attack unfold. Her team had been running simulations for years, preparing for scenarios that most considered impossible. The walls were lined with screens showing real-time data from around the globe, each one a window into humanity's fight for survival. Network integrity at 62%. A young technician called out, his voice tight but controlled. Backup systems engaging. What the Varaxians didn't understand was that humans had spent decades preparing for catastrophic scenarios. Every major communication network had redundancies built into redundancies. Where one system fell, 3 more activated. In Mumbai, Raj Patel was already in motion. A senior telecommunications engineer, he had been part of a secret global initiative to create a decentralized communication network that could survive anything. As traditional communication towers crumbled, his team began activating a network of mobile repeaters, satellite phone systems, and improvised communication relays. "We're going old school," Raj announced to his team. "Amateur radio, mesh networks, everything we've got." Across the Pacific, in a small research facility in Tokyo, Dr. Akira Tanaka watched the invasion unfold with a clinical eye. Her team of robotics and AI experts had been working on an unprecedented project, a distributed intelligence system that could adapt and respond to complex threats. "Initiate Protocol Chrysalis," she commanded, her fingers dancing across a holographic interface. Thousands of small, seemingly innocuous devices began to activate. Network drones, communication relays, and adaptive AI systems that had been quietly integrated into urban infrastructure started to communicate. What looked like random technological noise to the Varaxian sensors was actually a sophisticated, rapidly evolving defense network. Jake Rodriguez continued his work from the makeshift command center that had once been his garage. The initial attack had confirmed his worst fears and greatest hopes. The strange signal he'd been tracking was more than just a communication anomaly. It was a complex invitation to conflict. "Sarah, are you seeing this?" Jake called out to his cryptographer teammate. Sarah Chen's voice crackled through a secure line. "The communication patterns are fascinating. They're using a hierarchical signal structure that assumes complete technological superiority. But they're leaving traces, subtle ones, but definitely there." The Varaxian fleet watched in growing confusion. Their initial scans had suggested a quick, decisive victory. Instead, they were encountering a resistance that defied all their strategic models. Communication networks that should have collapsed were instead fragmenting, reforming, adapting. In Sao Paulo, a group of university students transformed an entire campus into a communication and research hub. Repurposed satellite dishes, modified mobile phone towers, and improvised communication relays began to map the alien technology. Colonel Rodriguez's voice cut through the controlled chaos of the defense command. "We're not just defending. We're learning." Each destroyed system became a data point, each fallen tower a potential weapon. The Varaxians had come expecting a simple conquest. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous, a species that didn't just survive, but evolved in real time. As the first wave of destruction subsided, humanity was already 3 steps ahead, transforming defeat into opportunity. The converted research facility looked more like a controlled chaos of innovation than a traditional laboratory. Massive workbenches stretched across what was once a corporate warehouse, now the nerve center of humanity's most critical technological response. Dr. Maya Chen stood at the epicenter, her eyes bright with a combination of scientific curiosity and determined resolve. Scattered across the tables were the dismembered remains of Varaxian technology. Each piece was a puzzle waiting to be solved, a potential weapon waiting to be understood. Engineers, physicists, computer scientists, and experts from disciplines that had never before collaborated worked shoulder to shoulder. "Look at this," Dr. Chen called out, holding up a fragment of a Varaxian communication device. The material seemed to shift and shimmer, defying traditional understanding of solid matter. The quantum entanglement in their communication systems is unlike anything we've ever seen. Dr. Rajesh Mehta, a quantum physicist who had spent his entire career studying theoretical communication technologies, leaned in close. "It's not just a communication device," he muttered. "It's a complete information processing system. The lines between hardware and software don't exist in their technology." Across the room, a team of material scientists worked on another fragment, a piece of alien hull plating that seemed to absorb and redirect energy in impossible ways. Engineers from Boeing and SpaceX collaborated with metallurgists, each bringing a unique perspective to the challenge. "We're not just reverse engineering," Jake Rodriguez explained to a group of young researchers. "We're reimagining entire technological paradigms." The strategy was simple yet revolutionary. Every piece of alien technology that fell to Earth became an opportunity. A destroyed drone became a treasure trove of innovation. A damaged weapon system was a lecture in advanced physics. In a secure lab in Zurich, a team of nanotechnology experts began to understand the true brilliance of Voraxian design. Their technology wasn't just advanced, it was adaptive. Each system contained multiple layers of redundancy and self-repair mechanisms that made traditional human technology look primitive by comparison. But humans had something the Voraxians could never understand: the ability to think beyond established parameters. Sarah Chen discovered the first major breakthrough. The alien communication systems used a quantum entanglement method that was both their greatest strength and their most significant weakness. By understanding the fundamental communication protocol, they could potentially create a complete communication intercept and disruption system. "It's like they've never considered that someone might completely rewrite the rules of engagement," Sarah explained, her fingers flying across multiple holographic interfaces. Dr. Maya Chen's team wasn't just defending. They were preparing to attack. Across the global network of research facilities, similar scenes played out. In Tokyo, robotics experts were designing autonomous defense systems that could adapt faster than any pre-programmed alien technology. In Sao Paulo, a team of software engineers was creating a distributed intelligence network that could predict and counter alien strategic movements. The Voraxian fleet, still believing in their technological superiority, had no idea what was coming. Each destroyed system became a learning opportunity. Each fallen piece of technology was a lesson in innovation. The aliens had come expecting a simple conquest, but they had awakened something far more dangerous than a military response. They had awakened human curiosity. As night fell across the research facility, the lights of computer screens and holographic displays created a constellation of human potential. The technological crucible was heating up, and humanity was about to show the galaxy what true innovation looked like. Captain Krelak stared at the tactical display with growing disbelief. His invasion models, perfected over centuries of galactic conquest, were falling apart in real time. The human response defied every strategic projection in the Voraxian military database. In Mumbai, what should have been a moment of total surrender transformed into something entirely unexpected. A network of call center workers, typically known for their customer service skills, became the backbone of a global intelligence gathering operation. Priya Sharma, a senior team lead, coordinated a communication network that would have impressed the most sophisticated military intelligence agencies. "We're tracking their communication patterns," Priya explained to her team, their headsets now modified to intercept and analyze alien transmission frequencies. Every signal they send is a potential weakness. Across the globe, similar scenes of improvisation and resistance were unfolding. In Sao Paulo, a group of retired engineers and industrial workers began repurposing manufacturing equipment into makeshift defense systems. Massive robotic arms designed for automobile production were now being recalibrated to create electromagnetic pulse generators. Carlos Rodriguez, a former automotive plant manager, looked at the transformed assembly line with a mixture of pride and determination. "We build things," he told his team. "That's what humans do. We take what exists and make it into something new." In Tokyo, a team of robotics experts worked at a feverish pace. Led by Dr. Akira Tanaka, they were developing autonomous defense mechanisms that completely ignored traditional combat logic. Their systems didn't just respond to threats, they anticipated, learned, and adapted in milliseconds. "The aliens expect a linear response," Dr. Tanaka explained to her team. "We're going to give them something completely unpredictable." The Voraxian military doctrine had never encountered an enemy like this. Humans didn't have a single point of failure. They didn't follow expected patterns of resistance. Every destroyed system became an opportunity. Every communication intercept a new avenue of attack. Jake Rodriguez continued to coordinate the global resistance from his improvised command center. The network of hackers, researchers, and everyday citizens had become something far more powerful than a traditional military response. "We're not just fighting," Jake told Colonel Maria Rodriguez during a secure communication. "We're rewriting the entire concept of conflict." The psychological impact was perhaps the most devastating weapon. The Voraxian fleet had conquered hundreds of civilizations by presenting an image of absolute technological superiority. Humans were systematically dismantling that illusion, one innovative response at a time. In a small research facility in Cape Town, a team of social psychologists began analyzing the Voraxian communication patterns. They discovered something extraordinary. The alien military was fundamentally unable to comprehend true collaborative innovation. Their entire strategic model assumes hierarchical control, Dr. Themban Kosi explained to his team. "We're showing them something entirely different. Distributed intelligence. Collective problem solving. They can't fight what they can't understand." Street vendors became intelligence gatherers. University campuses transformed into research centers. Every destroyed system revealed more about the alien technology than the invaders could have imagined. Captain Krelax watched the tactical display with mounting horror. The humans weren't just resisting. They were evolving in real time, turning each moment of conflict into an opportunity for innovation. The global uprising was more than a military response. It was a fundamental reimagining of what resistance could look like. Humanity was teaching the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. The silence was perhaps the most terrifying weapon. Commander Krelax watched as his most sophisticated psychological warfare algorithms collapsed against the human resistance. Every predictive model, every strategic projection, every carefully crafted invasion strategy disintegrated like ash in the wind. Humans didn't respond the way any known species in the galaxy had ever responded. Dr. Elena Rodriguez sat in a specially designed research facility, surrounded by a team of psychologists, linguists, and communication experts. They were decoding something far more complex than alien technology. They were unraveling the fundamental communication patterns of the Voraxian military hierarchy. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a complex holographic display. Streams of alien communication danced across the screen, each transmission revealing more about the invaders than they could have imagined. The Voraxian military was a perfectly structured organism. Each unit operated with machine-like precision, following predetermined protocols with absolute certainty. They had conquered hundreds of civilizations by presenting an image of invincible technological and strategic superiority. Humans were about to teach them the true meaning of adaptability. In a small communication center in Nairobi, a team led by Thomas Okello began to develop a strategy that would become legendary. They weren't just intercepting Voraxian communications, they were understanding the fundamental psychological principles behind them. "They operate on absolute certainty," Thomas explained to his team. "Their entire military structure is built on predictability. We're going to give them something completely unpredictable." The global resistance had transformed into something unprecedented. It wasn't a traditional military response. It was a collective, distributed intelligence that adapted faster than any centralized system could comprehend. Jake Rodriguez continued to coordinate the global network, his team now including experts from fields that had never before collaborated. Psychologists worked alongside engineers. Linguists collaborated with communication specialists. Every discipline became a weapon, every piece of knowledge a potential strategy. The Voraxian fleet began to experience something they had never encountered before. Their communication network started to become unreliable, not through technological interference, but through something far more insidious: psychological manipulation. Messages would arrive with subtle alterations. Strategic communications would contain microscopic inconsistencies that created doubt. The perfectly structured Voraxian military began to question its own infallibility. Dr. Sarah Chen discovered the first major breakthrough in psychological counterattack. The alien communication systems relied on absolute trust in the hierarchical structure. By introducing microscopic elements of doubt, they could create cascading uncertainty throughout the entire military network. It's not about destroying their technology, Sarah explained. It's about making them question their own systems. Across the globe, everyday people became part of the resistance in ways no military strategist could have predicted. Call center workers analyzed communication patterns. Social media experts tracked alien transmission methodologies. University students created distributed intelligence networks that could predict and counter alien strategic movements. The Varaxian military doctrine had a fatal flaw. It couldn't comprehend true collaborative innovation. Humans didn't have a single point of control. They were a distributed, adaptive system that could transform challenges into opportunities in milliseconds. Captain Krelax watched his tactical displays with growing horror. The humans weren't just resisting. They were dismantling the very concept of invasion, one psychological strategy at a time. Humanity was revealing a fundamental truth about intelligence, adaptation, and collective potential. The psychological warfare had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The moment of transformation began in a converted nuclear submarine deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. Dr. Maya Chen stood before a holographic display that mapped the entire alien invasion strategy, her team of international experts working with a precision that would have been impossible just weeks earlier. "We're not just defending anymore," Maya announced to the assembled team of scientists, military strategists, and communication experts. "We're going on the offensive." The plan was audacious. Where traditional military thinking would have suggested a direct confrontation, humanity was preparing a multi-layered attack that targeted the fundamental weaknesses of the Varaxian invasion force. Jake Rodriguez had been working tirelessly, coordinating a global network that transformed every piece of captured alien technology into a potential weapon. The communication intercept team had discovered something extraordinary about the Varaxian faster-than-light communication network, a vulnerability so fundamental that it could collapse their entire military infrastructure. In a research facility in Zurich, a team of quantum physicists worked on the most critical component of the counterattack. Led by Dr. Raphael Müller, they had discovered a way to exploit the quantum entanglement principles used in Varaxian communication systems. "It's not about destroying their technology," Dr. Müller explained to his team. "It's about turning their own communication network against them." Across the globe, every research facility, every university, every improvised technology center was working towards a single goal. The initial fear of invasion had transformed into a collective purpose that transcended national boundaries, cultural differences, and traditional limitations. Sarah Chen's team had developed a distributed intelligence network that could predict and counter alien strategic movements with unprecedented accuracy. Each intercepted communication became a data point, each captured technology fragment a lesson in advanced warfare. The Varaxian fleet, still believing in their technological superiority, had no idea what was coming. Captain Krelax received the first indications of the human counterattack through a communication network that was rapidly becoming unreliable. Tactical displays began to show inconsistencies. Strategic projections collapsed. The perfectly structured Varaxian invasion force started to experience something they had never encountered before: complete uncertainty. In Sao Paulo, a team of engineers had repurposed industrial equipment into advanced electromagnetic pulse generators. In Tokyo, robotics experts created autonomous defense systems that could adapt faster than any pre-programmed alien technology. In Cape Town, a group of social psychologists continued to analyze and exploit the psychological vulnerabilities of the alien military structure. The counterattack wasn't a single moment. It was a distributed global response that targeted every aspect of the Varaxian invasion. Dr. Elena Rodriguez coordinated the global communication strategy from a secure facility in the Rocky Mountains. "We're not just fighting," she told her team. "We're demonstrating the true potential of collective human intelligence." Each destroyed alien system became a learning opportunity. Each fallen piece of technology was a lesson in innovation. The aliens had come expecting a simple conquest, but they had awakened something far more dangerous than a military response. They had awakened the collective potential of an entire species. As the first wave of the human counterattack began, Captain Krelax realized a fundamental truth that would be recorded in galactic history. Humanity was not just a species to be conquered. They were a force of nature, capable of transforming any challenge into an opportunity for growth and innovation. The counterattack had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The moment of ultimate challenge arrived with a silence more deafening than any explosion. Captain Krelax watched in growing horror as the Varaxian fleet's most advanced systems began to fail. What had begun as a simple invasion had transformed into humanity's ultimate test of survival, innovation, and collective potential. The final confrontation was not a traditional battle. It was a comprehensive assault that tested every aspect of human capability: technological, philosophical, and existential. Dr. Maya Chen stood at the heart of a global command center, her team representing the most diverse collection of human expertise ever assembled. Quantum physicists worked alongside communication experts. Psychologists collaborated with robotics engineers. Military strategists shared data with social scientists. "This is more than a fight," Maya announced to the assembled team. "This is a demonstration of what humanity can become." The Varaxian fleet launched what they believed would be their ultimate strike. Massive energy weapons that had decimated hundreds of civilizations powered up. Quantum displacement cannons prepared to tear apart planetary infrastructures. Communication networks prepared for a final, decisive assault. But humans had been preparing for something far beyond a traditional confrontation. Jake Rodriguez's global communication network had transformed into something that defied traditional understanding of warfare. Every captured piece of alien technology became a weapon. Every intercepted communication was a strategic advantage. The human response was a living, breathing intelligence that adapted faster than any centralized system could comprehend. In orbit, the first wave of the Varaxian assault began to encounter unexpected resistance. Satellite networks that should have been destroyed reconfigured themselves. Communication systems that should have collapsed found new pathways. Defense mechanisms emerged from systems the aliens believed were completely neutralized. Sarah Chen's team had developed a distributed intelligence network that could predict and counter alien strategic movements with unprecedented accuracy. Each intercepted communication became a data point. Each captured technology fragment a lesson in advanced warfare. The Varaxian leadership watched in mounting terror as their invasion plan disintegrated. Massive warships found their communication networks compromised. Strategic weapons suddenly redirected. The perfectly structured invasion force began to collapse from within. Colonel Maria Rodriguez coordinated the global defense strategy, her team working with a precision that would have been impossible just weeks earlier. "We're not just defending," she told her team. "We're demonstrating the true potential of human collaboration." Across the planet, every research facility, every university, every improvised technology center contributed to the resistance. The initial fear of invasion had transformed into a collective purpose that transcended national boundaries, cultural differences, and traditional limitations. In Tokyo, robotics experts created autonomous defense systems that could adapt faster than any pre-programmed alien technology. In Sao Paulo, engineers transformed industrial equipment into advanced electromagnetic pulse generators. In Nairobi, communication experts continued to exploit the psychological vulnerabilities of the alien military structure. Captain Krelax received the final report as his flagship began to lose systems. The human response defied every strategic model, every invasion scenario, every understanding of technological warfare. They had not just resisted. They had reimagined the entire concept of conflict. As the final moments of the confrontation approached, humanity stood united, not as separate nations or cultures, but as a single, adaptive, incredibly complex organism capable of transforming any challenge into an opportunity for growth and innovation. The Varaxian invasion had awakened something far more dangerous than a military response. They had awakened the true potential of an entire species. The silence that followed the invasion was more profound than any moment in galactic history. Dr. Maya Chen stood before the United Nations Assembly, her presentation displaying the comprehensive analysis of humanity's unprecedented response. Representatives from every corner of the globe listened in collective awe as she detailed how a species once considered primitive had completely transformed the understanding of technological and cultural evolution. "We were never just a target," Maya explained, her voice steady and clear. "We were a catalyst." The Varaxian diplomatic remnant watched from a designated observation area, their once proud posture now replaced by a mixture of confusion and reluctant respect. Captain Krelax, stripped of his military command, represented the last vestiges of an empire that had just experienced its most comprehensive defeat. Jake Rodriguez coordinated the final stages of global recovery, his makeshift communications center now a testament to human innovation. The global network they had developed during the invasion had transformed into something far more significant, a blueprint for collective human potential. The galactic community watched with a mixture of fear and fascination. Representatives from multiple alien civilizations arrived, eager to understand how a species they had previously overlooked had managed to completely dismantle the most advanced invasion force in known history. Dr. Elena Rodriguez led the diplomatic efforts, her team of linguists, psychologists, and communication experts preparing to represent humanity on the galactic stage. It was never about technology, Elena explained during a critical diplomatic meeting. It was about adaptation, collaboration, and the ability to transform challenges into opportunities. The Varaxian leadership was forced to present a formal report to the Galactic Council. Their carefully constructed narrative of technological superiority had been completely dismantled. Humanity had not just defended itself, it had rewritten the fundamental understanding of intelligent life. Sarah Chen's research team began documenting the technological breakthroughs achieved during the invasion. Every captured alien system had become a learning opportunity. Their findings would revolutionize multiple scientific disciplines, from quantum communication to adaptive intelligence systems. In research facilities around the world, scientists continued to analyze the alien technology. What had begun as a defensive effort had transformed into the most significant technological leap in human history. Universities established entire departments dedicated to studying the invasion, transforming a moment of existential threat into a catalyst for unprecedented growth. Colonel Maria Rodriguez oversaw the global defense restructuring. The invasion had demonstrated that humanity's true strength lay not in traditional military might, but in its ability to collaborate, innovate, and adapt. The Varaxian diplomatic representative made a final, unexpected request. They sought to understand how humanity had achieved what no other species had ever accomplished. Dr. Maya Chen's response would become legendary. "We don't see challenges as obstacles," she explained. "We see them as opportunities for growth. Our strength is not in our individual capabilities, but in our ability to work together, to learn, to transform." As the galactic diplomatic discussions continued, humanity prepared for its next great challenge. The invasion had been more than a moment of survival. It had been a profound statement about the nature of intelligence, collaboration, and potential. Captain Krelax, in his final report, wrote a statement that would be studied for generations. Humanity is not a species to be conquered. They are a force of nature. The invasion was over, but humanity's real journey was just beginning. The galaxy would never be the same.